positive and negative rights, the terms we use there, are two ways to examine this idea of what a right actually is. And America was founded very clearly on the concept of negative rights. And negative rights, the common parlance, is freedom from. You are free from. And what are you free from? You're free from governmental intrusion into your own life.
A negative right is the right not to have something done to me. So when we talk about freedom of speech, it's a negative right in that I have the right to speak without the government silencing me.
And when we think about this sort of right, and we've got the right to peaceful assembly, the right to free press, the right to free exercise of religion, all these things right from the First Amendment. What do these rights cost monetarily? And it turns out they cost nothing.
So negative rights are interesting in that everyone can have them equally. You can have a set of negative rights, I can have a same set of negative rights, and they can both be enforced in the same fashion.
Positive rights are freedom to, where people are free to do certain things. And here we have the government as the great facilitator. So where negative rights rein in the government, positive rights empower the government.
What that means is you have the right to require that someone else provide something for you.
By taking from some to give to others, typically in the form of taxation. The Affordable Care Act is a perfect example of this.
The Affordable Care Act allows individuals and families and businesses to get health insurance that is easily accessible. It has a higher quality of care, and it is affordable.
When it becomes a right, now it's incumbent upon the government to provide it for everyone.
The goal of the ACA is to get more people insured. There are certain people who can qualify to get their premiums paid by the government.
Now that becomes very different because you and I cannot have that right in the same way because we have limited resources. We have so many resources. If you have a right to health care, then you have a right to say these resources need to be used to provide my health care.
And when that happens, that means some must pay for others.
Now all of a sudden you have a situation in which somebody's got to decide whether your right takes precedence over my right, and we're no longer equal now. So I guess the question then is, maybe that's still a right thing to do because you're providing health care to these people. And maybe, so you have, one sweater instead of two, but this guy has health care. Or you have one car instead of three, but this guy has health care. Maybe that's a good trade-off.
So this is the essential difference between a positive and a negative right.
One of the places you see positive rights playing out is in a free market. I agree to give you money, you agree to give me a product, so therefore you have a right to my money, I have a right to the product by virtue not of a government authority, but by virtue of our mutual, our voluntary agreement.
The government of the United States of America has, over time, shifted from a government that secures rights in the negative fashion to a government that provides rights in the positive fashion.
Positive rights don't work nearly as well when they're seen in the context of government. In the context of government, negative rights work very well. Because with negative rights, we don't have to choose whether your right takes precedent over mine. We get to be equal in the eyes of the law.
And here we find that the real question about self-governance is it sustainable given this shift that has occurred?